Hello, and welcome to Knit, Sip, Happy. My name is Nancy. I'm coming to you today from the east coast of Canada in Moncton, New Brunswick, and I'm here to talk to you today about knitting, a little spinning, no crochet. I occasionally dabble in crochet. Welcome to today's podcast. It's already time to have a sip. It is October 20-something, late October, and we're expecting a high of 20 degrees and sun, rain, humid. So I have gone back to a white wine today, and I've also gone with something a little bit sweeter, a Gewurztraminer, a German-style Gewurztraminer, because I need a little sugar boost. So we finally fell foul of COVID. I have fully recovered for the most part. I have a little bit of fatigue every now and again, and I've got this weird throat stuffy nose thing going on. I'm testing negative. I don't know if it's just a cold or if it's just a hangover from what it was. We didn't have it too seriously, but after seeing Sting last time, I thought we were going to be fine. Well, my husband went to an event at a local smaller venue, and him and his friend, and that's where we got it from, over Thanksgiving, and we managed to have people in our house and pass it along. Welcome to Thanksgiving dinner at the Wheelers. Have some plague as a side to go home with. Sorry about that to Sam and Deborah, Yarn Indulgences. Yeah. All right, I'm gabbling already. Let us get to the meat of this. I'm going to show you, actually, I should talk about what I'm wearing first. I started washing my linen summer cotton tees and tops because I thought we were going to be done with that, but I've had to start rolling them back out again this week with the weather being so mild. So today I'm wearing Cedar by Foggy Locatelli. Hang on, I'm going to stand up, back up. So it is got a beautiful little lace bottom on it, 3/4 length sleeves. I decided to go completely off the rails with this. It's got a great pattern, kind of subtle eyelet striping pattern running down the body, and then that pretty lace. I'll probably insert a picture here. And I knit this last year, earlier this year, I guess, in spring of 2022. I knit it in thicker than recommended yarn, so I had to change the gauge. So I made quite a few modifications to this, but I'm happy with the overall fit. Perhaps I could have done with a little bit more positive ease, but it's a nice, easy throw on, either with a white tank top underneath to show off that lace at the bottom, or just today, as I've done it, just chucked on for an easy wear. Bella's a cotton linen something blend from Drops, but I will have everything linked below. I should back up the truck. I will have everything linked below where you can find me on Instagram and Ravelry. And I will also link all of my project pages for things that I'm going to talk about. And if I mention anyone, I will also list them below as well, so you can find them. So I've had quite a few new subscribers. I've had some lovely mentions from some of my favorite podcasters. So quite honored by that, I guess. It's always a thrill to hear and see my name on somebody else's podcasts. So if you've come to me via Miga, Skeins of Dreams, Nikki, Knitting with Cat Hair, Selma Little Big Knits, Tracy and Kirsty, sorry, Wool and Wishes. I know I'm forgetting Sophie, Cozy Meadows, Always Chats, Heather from the Wheelhouse. Anyway, thank you if you've come to me from other podcasts. I hope you like what you see and you stick around. And okay, let's get on with the knitting. Enough chit chat. So finished things. I have a few things. I showed these last time. These were the cranked sock tubes that I was working on out of Knit Picks Static. I have finished the pair. So these will be going into the Christmas pile. I think they're a ladies size 7, so I've got a couple people who would fit that size. So not too much to say about those. I showed them off. I think I showed a full one last time and a part one that I was still working on. So that pair is done. I also have finished off the prayer socks that I showed you last time. They were the navy and orange. I'm going to put a picture up here. They've already been sent off in the mail to get to my aunt so she can enjoy them for as long as possible. She's actually heading off to California next month for some special treatment, so probably won't need socks, but hopefully she'll have them next week to enjoy until she leaves. The next two things are yet more Every Which Way cowls. I finished the pink and teal version that I showed off last time as a work in progress. So this is using a Sugar Plum DK from Yarn Indulgences with some Surrey Silk Alpaca held double with some of my hand spun as the color work. I'm still loving this pattern. I'm undecided if I'm going to knit any more or whether I'm going to find a colorwork motif that is 10 stitches to make it fit and do it, or I might go off the rails and mess around. Anyway, I reduced the cast on. I talked about this last time. I had reduced the cast on by 10 stitches to make it a little more narrow, and I could probably go down another 10 stitches just to make it a little closer to the neck. And then I also finished, I had asked your opinion about this one. This one's a touch shorter. I ran out of the dark gray background yarn, so I'm actually missing one more of the motifs. So it's a little shorter, but I think it's still lovely. This was just using some DK from my stash. And I said I ran out of the dark gray background here, so I had to cut it short. I used a lighter gray for the cuffs, and then some Knit Picks yarns held double for the contrast. And I had asked your opinion last time about whether it was too low contrast. And I really like this, actually. And your responses, you really liked it as well. So I did carry on and I finished it. So that's two more Every Which Way cowls. I have not cast on anymore. Like I said, I'm tempted to just cast on however many ribbing stitches, find another colorwork motif, and use some more hand spun that way. I really enjoyed using hand spun in these. The other thing that I can't show you, I can show you the yarn that I used. I just happened to be on Instagram, as we do, a couple of weeks ago during the day, and Joji Locatelli put out a test call for a shawl. I know, a shawl. What am I going to do with a shawl? Love knitting them, never wear them. It's a sample for Deborah at Yarn Indulgences. It's perfect. I get the joy of knitting it. She picks the yarn, so I don't have to make that decision. And then I give it to her, and she uses it for a booth sample. It's a win-win. I get the joy of the knitting and to experience it and knit a Joji pattern. I've never done one of her test knits before, so I was kind of excited to do that. But I'm not allowed to show it yet. It is a design for Barcelona Knit Festival. Barcelona Knits. It's happening the beginning of November, so I will show it off on Instagram when I'm allowed to, and I will show you here on the podcast next time. Time to slow down. Talking too fast? Okay, so the pattern called for a skein of fingering and a skein of fluff in the same color, which is interesting. But there was also the option to change it up and make it 2 fingering weight yarns, or, in the same, contrast or the same color. So Deborah had the great idea to use, I've just got this scruffy little leftover ball here, her sock marl fingering weights. This is a 75-25. Ooh, I might be lying. I'll put it on the screen if I'm wrong. It might be an 80-20 now that I'm saying that. Anyway, it's this great marl yarn that has a black thread running through it to give you this marl, and it's dyed this beautiful kind of pale beigey gold color and pretty dusty pinks. So we paired that with one of her new MCS yarns. Again, it's a scruffy little ball. It's his Faith Rose in her merino cashmere silk base. And I think we chose the day color. She's got gradient sets that are dawn, day, dusk, night. And I can't remember. Again, I'll put it on the screen, and my project page will be linked below with no pictures, no sneak peeks. So yes, this is the leftovers from that shawl. More details to come when it's published. But that was a good chunk of my knitting time over the last couple of weeks to get that done on time. All right. And then Thanksgiving, our daughter and her partner and the lovely puppy Archie, I'll put a picture up here, the grand puppy, it's the closest I've gotten to a grandbaby right now, and he's just quite adorable. They came to spend Thanksgiving weekend with us, and I had put out I made these last year. They are petite pumpkins. It's a free pattern on Ravelry. I will link it below. But I did these last year, and I guess I had promised my daughter to make her one at last Thanksgiving. But I had, once Thanksgiving is over, I'm like, meh, done. I put all the pumpkin paraphernalia away, and I never knit her one. So when she was home over Thanksgiving, I knit her a pumpkin, and I sent it home with her. I will insert a picture because, bless me, she's never been interested in anything fibery. She doesn't want to learn how to knit, nothing. She decided she wanted to crochet her own pumpkin. Can't remember where she'd seen it. Anyway, we looked up a Bella Coco tutorial, I'll link it below, on how to crochet your own pumpkin, and she went home with a set of crochet hooks and a full bag of acrylic yarn that I no longer knit with, that was just in my yarn closet over there, to make her own pumpkins. But so she made, like I said, I'll have had that picture up there. That made me so happy. I kind of showed her a few bits and bobs and some basics, but she caught it really quickly, and that tutorial was excellent. We did slow it down so she could kind of follow the motions a little better. She's never crocheted a thing in her life. But she crocheted a pumpkin in one day. And then they took the lovely Archibald up into the woods behind our house to find a stick to break up to make the stems. So I brought these in to show you because I did knit one. It went home to Fredericton with her, but then she crocheted some as well. Just get these out of the way. The sticks, I don't have them glued in. I just kind of have them stuffed in. So every now and again they try to fall out from the middle, but yeah, very cute. Free pattern on Ravelry. I will link it below. Okay, I think that might be all my FOs. Let me check my list. Yes. Unfortunately, still no finished Orbits sweater. I got distracted. As I said, the last with the Hohi test shawl, and I've had a couple of new, 3 or 4 new cast-ons. So Orbits only got an inch on it on the body. I had to try it on, which was what the sticking point was. I needed to try it on to see what my length was and how my hip increases were coming. And for some reason, sliding the stitches onto the barber cord just felt like something I didn't want to do whenever I thought about it. So I finally did that yesterday. I put it on the barber cords, tried it on. I'm happy with the sizing, but it does need probably at least two or so more inches on the body, and to keep going with those hip increases. So I will work on that over the next few weeks, because I keep saying we're getting close to sweater weather and it's going to be 24 degrees tomorrow. So we'll see. Onwards to whips. We're going to start with, I guess, a project I showed you last time was the Freddie Beach socks that I was knitting in the Yarn Inc. Offensive crew. blocker here. So I finished one sock. I had started this when I restarted it when I was in Halifax visiting a friend, helping her pack to move. So I finished one sock. Those colors are just fantastic. So contrasting heel toes and cuffs. This is my Freddie Beach pattern, which is just so fun to see the way they cut the pops of color work with those elongated stitches. So I have a hoe, and what do you do as soon as you cast it off? You cast the second one on to make sure it doesn't linger. Oh, I'll just leave that on the blocker and put it down. Will not throw it. So what I've done is, whoop, I've cast on, I have a little cuff on a 9-inch circular, and I'm reversing the order. So it's going to be cuffs, heels, toes in the pink, and the body in the tealy turquoise, or the turquoisey, purpley color. So the yarn, as I said, is from Yarn Inc. It's her offensive crew. So this is F this and F that. I just saw on Instagram that she's retiring this collection. So if you're interested in any of these sweary themed yarns that she came up with during COVID, brilliant. They are being retired for a little while to have a break. So if you're interested, you should definitely hop over to her website and check that out. So yeah, I just have a small little cast on. I took it, we had knit night last night. I took it to knit night, but even knit one, purl one rib just wasn't working with my chattering. So I didn't get very far. So we were having an interesting conversation at knit night last night about sock needles. You know, there were some staunch DPN knitters at our table, and they only knit with DPNs, and other knitters who were only magic loop. And then there was a couple of us who kind of move around. So I will knit my socks on magic loop or 9-inch circulars. I haven't knit a DPN sock in years. That's where I started knitting socks. The problem is with DPNs, after you've magic looped, you kind of switch to, when you switch needles, sometimes you just let it go, assuming it's going to be attached to the cord like it is for magic loop, and DPNs start flying everywhere and the couch eats them, and then I'm out of needles. So that is a hoe and a whip. How are you are you needle neutral? Do you like to move around with your sock needles? Are you purely magic loop or purely a DPN? Do you like the little 9-inch circulars? Curious. I had asked about knitting notion bags last time, and that was kind of fun to hear how everybody stored their notions. Some people did have that dedicated one pouch that moved around, or gasp, they were monogamous knitters, so they only needed one knitting notions pouch because they only ever have one thing going. To each their own. Judgment-free zone. We all love the knitting and we all do it differently. Our brains all cope with extra stuff differently. Some people had a few that they move around if they've got multiple projects. Some people have, different, like me, they have, basic scissors, stitch markers, measuring tape in each bag that they use. So anyway, thanks for answering my questions. Knitters need to know. All right. I've caught myself looking at myself and not the camera, so must be time. Must be time. Okay. And then I had done a little bonus episode a couple weeks ago, last week. Can't remember. Time. Stephanie of the Creative Knitter was launching a new collection that was available for pre-order until last Friday. So the pre-order period has closed on it, but I chatted with Stephanie to ask if she was going to have extras of these yarns, or they were going to be available to order later on, and they will be. There's going to be some extras on her website, and she will also be doing dyed to order for this collection. So don't be alarmed if you've missed out. I'm going to show you a couple of projects that I've cast on with some of these yarns. And I might show the other two in my acquisitions at the end. So the first thing I cast on was using Stephanie's ball band. She's based out of Ontario, Canada. And I decided to cast on with Rustic DK Plant Lady colorway. So this yarn is called Rustic DK. It is not rustic. It's rustic in the fact that it is tweedy. That color is perfect, actually. It's coming out really nicely. It's got neutral, you know, tan, cream, and darker brown neps in there. It's not rustic at all. It is extremely soft. Looking at the screen, look at the camera. I can't keep drinking so fast. Plant Lady. So I have cast on a hat, just a simple ribbed hat, just 1x1 rib. I'm doing it at quite a tight gauge. I actually got a few inches in on a larger needle, on a larger size, and it looked huge. This is for my daughter. And I just thought it's going to be too big, and being superwash, it is going to stretch a little bit as well. So I ripped it all out and started again on a smaller cast on and on smaller needles. I forget, this is just a free pattern on Ravelry. It's called the Classic Ribbed Hat. I will put it here and I will link it below with my project page. And it is just knit one, purl one, rib until the decreases. So I'm going, I don't know how long I'm going to do this, because I'm assuming she'll cuff it for the most part. She likes to wear the Carhartt toques hats. And I know that one is quite cuffed, but that way she can wear it slouchy if she wanted to with a smaller cuff, or she can cuff it really high and make it a tighter beanie. But she is the one who inspired me to plant, to have house plants, and I've managed to keep most of them alive. It's another addiction, apparently. It started mostly during COVID, a little bit before, but yeah, so hat. And this is in just a little drawstring project bag. Who's it by? Buttoned Up and Pinned Down. It was a prize from a knit-along years ago. I can't remember where I won this, but it's a great little drawstring project bag for a single skein. The next thing that I cast on with the yarn that Stephanie sent me, she sent me a sock set. So, you know, I had to. This is going to be a new design. I'm not going to do design chat today because there really isn't much to talk about. But I did want to show you the yarn knit up and this sock. So I just finished, I have another hoe. I just finished this yesterday. So this is the Let's Stay Home colorway. These teals, light teals and dark teals and pinks and grays, super pretty. So I've done a bit of a contrast cast on and one round of rib in the contrast, 1x1 rib, a little design on the front, contrast heel and toe. So this will be something coming up. I have a couple of thoughts in mind for name. This is the front panel. Just a little cable purl action with quite a few knit rows in between. My perfect recipe for a sock that just seemed, well, this did fly by. I started it when I was home recovering. Well, I was back to work, but you know, I was testing negative, but I still wasn't feeling fantabulous. So I needed something kind of mindless, and yeah, this was lovely to work on. So that is Let's Stay Home colorway. I don't have the ball band in there. And I have cast on the second sock. And I'm doing this on Magic Loop with my Chow Goo mini twists, which are one of my favorite sock needles. because that cord is just so easy to manipulate. Yeah, so that is that one. Just going to keep going with that. I have no anticipated date. It's not gone into testing or anything, so I'm just kind of taking things a little slow. The other thing I did, I went and grabbed the last of this tube of the Knit Pick Static, and I've just put a cuff and a rounded toe on there. I have a rounded toe in all of my patterns that I like. I'm not a big fan of the wedge toe. I have not put a heel in these yet, so these will go into my gift pile for somebody, and when I know who it's for, I can just measure it out, pop in a heel wherever, and they'll be good to go. So I said, well, I had that tube, I figured I may as well just finish it, divide it, and be ready. So now I have a pink pair like this and that navy blue pair I showed you last time that just have the heels and the toes, or sorry, the cuffs and the toes with no heels. So, and that used all of that yarn up. Yay. My last new cast on was inspired because we did have a cooler day one day last week, and I had a new beautiful puff sleeve blouse that I picked up, linen, and I wanted to wear my slipover. I knit a Stockholm slipover, I'll put a picture here, last year in just DK yarn, and I loved it. It was a great transitional piece for me. My work temperatures can be quite cool to quite warm because of the equipment that runs in our little craft winery. And I found I did wear that vest quite a bit early spring last year, and I think I'm going to wear it a lot this fall. And it inspired me to grab a project that I'd had kitted up since Knit City Montreal back in March, April of this year. I had wound up this yarn and taken it with me for extra knitting, which I didn't need because we were pooped after setting up and then all the peeping, which was great, and then tearing it down and then the drive, and it was just, didn't happen. Anyway, rambling. So, I will. This is in this beautiful bag from My Needle Crafts in Southern Ontario. I got this at the KW fair back in 2018. Yeah, 2018. Love it. It's a great sweater size bag. It'll fit quite a few skeins in there with these felt sheep. So cute. So I have in here some Shibui Silk Cloud in colorway Ash. Both of these yarns are very deep stash. I bought this in spring of 2018 when we were in St. John, New Brunswick, when my husband had his open heart surgery. It was before he was getting ready to be discharged and he was feeling good. So I felt safe to leave and go to the yarn store, and they had Shibui on sale. I thought, huh. So I have 3 skeins, which, not really thinking, they're 25 grams, not enough for a garment with sleeves. So it's been just kind of loitering in my stash. And I've paired it with Fondant Fibre, UK dyer. I don't think she's open anymore. I had gotten fiber from her and different yarns over the years, and this is a really unique blend. There we go. It's called Slub Single. So it's a single ply with merino, linen, and silk. No, lamb's wool. Blend of lamb's wool, silk, and linen in the colorway Raspberry. And it looks like this. The camera adjust. That's the ticket right there. So it's a single ply, and it's very thick, thin construction. So I knew I was either going to have to hold it with itself, or with something else. So I'm holding it with the merino, sorry, with the Shibui Silk Cloud. Mohair is in the air. All right, so, oh goodness, lost stitches. When will I learn to put stitch stoppers on the ends of these needles? Not today, apparently. This is the Stockholm slipover, or the start of a Stockholm slipover. So the fabric looks fabulous with that silk cloud being held with that raspberry colorway. So it's shots of the darker pink, lighter pink, some natural, and then these goldy yellow colors, orangey colors, that I think with a white blouse and some jeans or black pants is going to be fabulous. So I said I've knit this once before, but I got it into the round before knit night last night. So I would just have some plain round and round knitting, and that's mostly what I knit on last night. As I said, the knit one, purl one rib on my Freddie Beach socks seemed to be beyond me. Yeah. So this is the arm opening, and it looks huge. And I was alarmed last time when I knit it for the first time as to how big it was. So I had made some modifications on my first one, picking up less stitches and using a much smaller needle, but it's almost too tight for those big balloony sleeves. So I might go a little closer to the pattern on this one this time. We'll see. We'll see once I try it on with the blouse, and then we'll figure out what I'm going to do. But I have 2 skeins of that single and 3 skeins of the Shibui, so I've got lots of yarn to make it a little long. I don't know. I waffle on length a lot of the times, because with my pear shape, I find things look better if I've got a flowy thing. I need it a little higher to hit my natural waist to bring me in a little bit. If I do a big flowy thing with another big flowy thing, I look like a square, boxy. Sorry, I'm not looking at you. I'm looking at myself. Boxy sweaters don't work for me. I've tried a couple of different designs like that, and I just don't find them flattering. They're comfortable because they're super big and loungy, but they just don't fit my shape. That when I look in the mirror, I go, ew, I look like a rectangle. And I do have shape. It's just a pear shape. So I like to accentuate the smaller waist. I find it makes me feel a little smaller in my body. That's just me. Okay, that's it for whips. I did bring in, oh, hang on, I'm just going to check my list. I have a list down in front of me today. I've decided that lists are probably a little bit better to try and stay organized. So I did bring in a sheet of paper with things. Yeah, so the only other whip that I have, you can see over my shoulder, I've been doing some spinning. I will just grab that. Sorry, that was the base that holds the battery, but it doesn't hold my battery, so it's never gone in there. Anyway, here we are. This is my EEW, my Electric Eel Wheel 6. It's my big one with the 8-ounce bobbins. I love to ply on this one. So this is a 3-ply sock yarn that I am currently plying. And I stopped yesterday because 1 bobbin, 2 bobbins. Oh, look, the 3rd one's empty. I roughly divide my fiber into thirds when I'm doing a 3-ply. I don't weigh it or measure it per se. I just kind of divide it into thirds and go, and rip it apart. This is what happens when you do that. So now what I need to do is I need to take these 2 bobbins and divide them into 3. I have to weigh them and divide them into 3, spit splice, come back to 3 bobbins, and I'll be able to finish plying this. This would be plenty for a pair of socks, which was what I'm spinning for. There's a knit along, a spin and knit along on a Facebook group that I belong to. It's a Canadian sock knitting group, solely Canadian knitters, sock knitters. I'll link it below if I can find it. I'm spinning to knit a pair of socks in this yarn. This would be plenty for me to knit a pair of socks. So I could be lazy and just 2-ply this and use it for something else. However, I don't know if you can see, the singles are very fine because it was knit for a 3-ply socks, and I do like to go 2.5 millimeters, heavy fingering sport, or even a regular fingering. I do tend to spin my singles quite thin. We've talked about that before. So a 2-ply in this would be quite thin, and I'm not sure what I would do with it. Don't know. We'll see. There's options. Whether I'm going to be lazy and just call it a day on this and then spin this separately, or whether I'm going to take these down, weigh them, spool off to make a 3rd bobbin. Don't know. Hang on, I'm just going to put these down. That is what I'm spinning. I also had quite a few questions about spinning, about doing demos and things like that. I'm really not that proficient a spinner. I did take some footage of myself spinning last week when I was still working on the singles. So I'll insert that at the end just to show you what I'm doing. I'm using it again on my electric, my small nano e-wheel. I'm not treadling. As I look down here, my Ashford Kiwi traditional treadle wheel is down beside, right down here. I don't use it as often. I love it. I'm not ready to get rid of it. I do love the treadling, but the convenience of the e-wheels that are battery powered that I can take wherever quite easily has kind of got my heart at the minute, just for the convenience factor. As I was saying, I'm not that proficient a spinner. I'm very intuitive. I don't do grist and, I don't measure my wraps per inch. I just spin for the pure enjoyment of it. And what I get, I find a way to use it. Or I throw it in my stash to be used at a later date because it's precious. All right. There is another podcast that I want to mention. It is the Worsted podcast with Simone and Troy, and they are based on Prince Edward Island at Belfast Mini Mills. And I have acquisitions from them to show you later in that session, in the acquisition section, if you're interested. I was looking forward to meeting them in person at PEI Fibre Festival, which, as we all know, didn't happen due to Hurricane Fiona. They are running a knit-along to support the fiber artists who came to PEI or who are from PEI, who were supposed to be vendors at that show, who still have quite a lot of stock left. Most of them have stock because they really prepared and done extras. So the Worsted podcast, they have a knit-along going along based in their Ravelry group, and I will link it below. The Cal is knitting up my patterns, which Simone has knit a couple of my patterns already, and I love to see them either on Instagram or on their podcast when she shows them off. So there is a discount code in their Ravelry group to get 25% off my sock patterns. And you can enter the knit along if you're knitting yarn from any of the vendors from PEI Fibre Festival. So I'm planning on knitting a couple of my patterns that I actually haven't knit since I did the sample pair. So Smoke Gets in Your Eyes, I haven't knit, and that was the one that Stephanie Pearl McPhee, the yarn harlot, shouted out, and I've seen a couple of I've seen so many awesome projects with it, but I've decided I want to knit a pair. I'll show you some of the yarn I'm thinking in a minute in my acquisition section. Anyway, but if you're interested and you have yarn from any of the vendors from PEI, or have some ordered like I do, and want to take part, head to their Ravelry group. All the details are there with how to participate, and you can grab that coupon code and get yourself a pattern or two and knit along with us. So that's kind of fun. always exciting. I'm new enough at this. I haven't been designing that long. I only started in the spring of 2022. So this is all still very new for me. So whenever I see my patterns out in the world, at knit night last night, there were people knitting my Bucktooth Boardwalk socks and Freddie Beach socks, but seeing them on Instagram and having you tag me in them is just, it brings me such joy to the days that it happens, and I really appreciate it. All right, I'm going to take a little break here. I've got to grab my acquisitions and we'll come back. I'll talk dream knitting and then we'll do some acquisition talk. That way, if you're not interested in acquisitions, you can say goodbye to me. And at the end, I've got a little more chit chat probably and some footage of things that have happened over the last couple of weeks. Okay, I'm back. I've kind of reorganized the pile beside me. I've been doing some shopping. As I said last time, I had some shopping to do from PEI, which I had planned on picking up things from vendors I had never bought from before. I have 2 orders outstanding. One is from Full Moon Fibres from Ontario. They also had COVID and were delayed uploading all of their festival yarn back into their shop, but I got in there and my friend Leanne and I did a split order. She didn't have quite enough for free shipping and I didn't have quite enough for free shipping, so we combined and we've placed an order. So it's going to her house in St. John, so not sure when I will see that, but I'm sure we can make an excuse to meet up somewhere in the middle. Can we, Leanne, when it comes? Can we? And pick up my Full Moon Fibres order from her. I also placed an order with Stephanie, the creative knitter, for her homebody collection. And I'll talk about that a little more in acquisitions as well. Dream knitting first. So I'm going to flash you the Mishnach bag again. To keep me honest, I still have the yarn in here for Laya. I have the pattern, and I'm ready to go. But the Stockholm slipover seduced me this week, and I decided that I wanted to get a slipover done where it's that time of year. I could wear that quite a lot this time of year. So it's still here, and this will be my next sweater cast on, unless I'm intrigued. Have you seen all of this? Tangent. Have you seen all of this unspun yarn stuff going on? Nutidin and Plutolopi and Manchalopi, and we have a local one apparently, Briggs and Little Roving. If you watch any of the podcasts I mentioned earlier, Selma Little Big Knits, Miga on Skeins of Dreams, Nikki with Knitting with Cat Hair, she's done a beautiful ranunculus with Nutidin. And more Canadian content, the Knitty Stew, Leanne. She's a big fan of Nutidin and unspun yarn as well. I'm intrigued by this. My friend Sophie, the Cozy Meadow Knits, she had picked up Briggs and Little Roving from La Violette, my local yarn store, in Bucktooth, New Brunswick. They sell plates of this 5-ply unspun roving for $13. So other than the aggravation of having to separate the 5 plies, which at knit night last night, I was asking Sophie how she did it because I thought that's got to be a pain in the butt. And it sounds like it kind of is, but I'm still intrigued and I think I might do it. Basically, she was saying that she was unwinding the ply, like the 5-ply, walking down her hallway, 15 feet, and then had 5 different balls of yarn going and just wound up the 5 balls walking down the hallway and then back and wound up another ball and back and another ball. Don't know, but I'm intrigued. I think I'd like to try the Briggs and Little Roving and do the separating and try knitting something holding it double. I don't think I want to hold it with mohair. I think I want to have the full experience of this unspun. There is a knit along going on Instagram. It's called Unspun Heroes. You can look at the hashtag, and there's all kinds of things. And I keep going in there and being completely inspired. Plus, just seeing it on all the podcasts. I'm curious how this yarn would wear. You know, if I'm holding 2 strands of the roving, is it going to be too hot for my menopausal self? Will I just never wear it? I can gift it to somebody. But yeah, I think I really do want to try that. So I was talking to Manon, the owner of La Violette, last night at our knit night, and she has a whole bunch of different colors, including, shock, awe, a teal. So I think I'm going to have to go out to Bouctouche, take a nice drive, and visit Manon and see what she has got color-wise to try that. So I say that Laia is the next garment on the needles. Maybe something with unspun yarn. We shall see. We shall see. I'm reserving judgment, but I think I want to try it. Have you knit with unspun yarn before? I said I'd heard of Nudiden over the last couple of years, but it was, you know, it's from Sweden. It's so, you know, I would never buy that online without trying it first because it is quite fragile where it's unspun. Yeah, so I'm not sure how the knitting process will feel with it. Investing $13 or $26 if I need 2 plates of the Briggs and Little Roving, I'm willing to do that. I'm not willing to do it with something that I have to order from overseas. So I will keep you informed as I do it. But have you knit with it? Any tips? I'd love to hear them. Any tips? If you knit with the Briggs and Little Roving, about how you separate it or how you knit with it. So leave me a comment below if you have. I said, I'm very intrigued. All right. That's all I really have for dream knitting other than my usual parade of socks. And like I said, there may be another cowl or 2 in my future. I'm going to look in a couple of Stitch dictionaries or online for some motifs, easy colorwork motifs, and see if I can kind of create my own cowl. We'll see. We'll see how my brain feels. The creative knitter sock that I showed you earlier in the Let's Stay Home, I'm toying with a couple of names, one of which is Foggy Brain, because that's the way I'm feeling, whether it's post-COVID Foggy Brain or just my normal menopausal COVID brain, Foggy Brain. I'm a little all over, which is strange for me. Anyway, I digress again. Do I chat more as I go further down my glass, or does it keep me on task and on target? Hard to say. All right, I'm looking at a pile of goodies down here beside you. I'm going to start with the Creative Knitter skeins, because if you watch my bonus episode, you've already seen these, but I did just want to show them again. This is a DK Classic. It has nylon in it, so this may be the background color for my next cowl, or it could be a pair of DK socks. I'm uncertain yet. And then this one, pow. I think I've ordered some of this with nylon in, I do believe, because this is Creative Sock in the colorway Introvert. And, you know, as I said in the video, Stephanie, the other little bonus video I did, Stephanie definitely had my number when she sent me this one. It's 100% merino, so not appropriate for socks, but would be awesome in maybe a cowl. I could hold it double and for a yoke, for a DK yoke. I don't know. Right now it's going to live in my stash and look gorgeous because it's just so lovely. Anyway, so those ones you've kind of already seen. And then I had ordered from Belfast Mini Mills after the hurricane. They were delayed shipping them. They kept sending me emails saying, you know, we haven't forgotten about you. They just had no power for quite a number of weeks. So I was in no hurry for it. I'm looking at my stash. I don't need anything, but I did want to support them, especially after PEI and losing that income stream and then having to be closed for so long because of the hurricane. So I ordered 2 skeins of their specialty sock. This kind of periwinkle blue and a charcoaly heathered gray. This is, the tags are a little swooped up. This and some fiber that I ordered came in the teeniest, tiniest box. I thought, that can't be everything because of the fiber I'd ordered. And it wasn't, but it was packed so well, and they had compressed the fiber, but the tags are looking a little, disheveled. So this is, there we go, an 80-20 sock. It does look like quite a loose ply. So again, I'm intrigued to knit with this. It's lovely and soft and squishy. I'm planning on Smoke Gets in Your Eyes. This will be the body, and this will be heels, toes, and cuffs. So I'm going to use this yarn to take part in the cowl that the Worsted Fibre podcast is holding. So that's my first pair of socks for that cowl, and probably my next sock cast on, if I'm honest. And the other things that I got from Belfast Mini Mills was fiber. So I was talking to my friend Simone. Her Instagram handle just flew right out of my head. I'll put it on the screen here. She spins and knits and designs and is just fabulous to follow. And she also takes these beautiful pictures around PEI. She does a lot of walking at crazy hours of the morning. I get up in the morning and one of the first things I see is Simone's pictures of her walking in the dark. I'm just not that dedicated. Anyway, I digress. I've been talking to Simone on Instagram after the hurricane, just to see how they were doing and how they were faring without power, and they were doing great and prepared. Anyway, we were talking fiber. So she had just finished a spin with this, which I think is called St. Peter's Bay. So I got a bag of this. I can't remember what the base is because I don't have the tag here. Hang on a second, maybe I have the receipt in the box. Hold, please. Invoice enclosed. Yeah, this is the box it came in. When I show you the next bit of fiber, you will be amazed. I couldn't believe it was all stuffed in there. Well done, whoever packs. Hang on a second, I just gotta break into this. There we go. Oh, no, it just says it's 4 ounces. It doesn't say what the fiber content is. It did on the website, I just can't remember. It was a merino, maybe merino mohair. Correct me if I'm wrong, Simone. The other thing that I got that I started to take out of the bag and then realized this was a terrible mistake. This was compressed. This was compressed way down. Because like I said, it fit in that skinny little box. So this is a rainbow bat. I've never really spun from a bat, and it's slightly alarming. It's beautiful. I just have no idea how to tackle this damn thing. I'm going to have to do some Googling and YouTube how to spin from a bat. I don't know if I want to make it a gradient and keep that rainbow kind of thing going on. This one does tell me it's 220 grams, a rainbow sock bat, 50% mohair, 50% merino. Sorry for the glare there. But I don't want to take it out of this bag because I have a feeling if I do, I will never get it back in there. So until I start spinning it, I don't, yeah. So pretty. Like I said, I don't know how I'm tackling it. I don't know what I'm going to make with it, but I wanted to support them, and it was so friggin' pretty, I had to do it. Okay, and then La Violette, my local yarn store, on Instagram a couple of weeks ago, she had gotten in some Christmas yarn from Lily and Pine, who I believe is in Alberta. Yes, Calgary. And I saw this and messaged Mena right away and said, yes, please. So I paid online, and she brought it to Knit Night last night. So this is in that camera, just Daylily sock. The colorway is Fireworks, and that spot of hot pink on the back too to go with the mini. Oh, it was marketed as a Christmas sock set. I don't know if I would hang on to it if it's got a summery vibe to me as well. Tropical Caribbean kind of, yes. So that I had to have. I've never bought from Lily and Pine before, so thought it was a great time to try it and grab a sock set to do I don't know what with. Don't ask. People ask, what did you buy that for? What are you gonna make with that? No idea. It's pretty, and I had to buy it, and I wanted to support my local yarn store. The other thing that I got from my local yarn store was a treat for myself. I've always wanted a ChowGoo interchangeable set. So I just got the smaller size set that goes up to, I believe, 5mm, because really I don't knit that much over. Yeah, so it goes to 5mm. So I ordered that from Manon at La Violette as well. She ordered it in for me, and again, I paid for it online, and she brought it to Knit Night last night. Excellent service. Yeah, I have a full interchangeable set of my zings that go up to size, you know, big, thick, whatever, that I will never use. So I didn't feel the need to get the full set, but this set up to, you know, the 2.75 to 5mm is kind of my comfort zone. That's where I knit most of my garments and shawls, and if I knit a shawl or a cowl or anything big, is in that kind of size range. So, and from here, if I want to add extra cables or tips in that size range, I certainly can. But that was a splurge item for me, but really wanted to. I've had it in my mind for a while that I'd like a ChowGoo set. Yeah, so that is it for acquisitions. And well, for now, like I said, I had placed a pre-order with Creative Knitter for her homebody collection with the beautiful sock bag, as well as some yarns now that I've forgotten what I ordered. I was home with COVID when I placed my order for that. So I was just click, click, click. So like I said, I've forgotten what I ordered, but I will be pleasantly surprised when it shows up. It's dyed to order, so it's gonna be about six to 8 weeks, I think she'd said. It's fine. I'm in no rush. Yeah, so what else? We had Knit Night last night. We have it at a local craft brewery, and they have an upper mezzanine level with 3 tables. And last night we were almost full. There was room for 30. There were 27 of us. It was great. It was warm. I pulled out a linen t-shirt to wear, and boy, was I ever glad, because I was drinking commercial wine, which always makes me hot flash. There's something in them that makes me hot flash, versus this, my craft wine doesn't make me flash over quite as much. And yeah, it was warm up there, and everybody in their big sweaters and things. It was a bit, I have a little, well, you've seen my fan, my old-fashioned Scarlett O'Hara style fan. I have one in my purse if I get caught out in public with a meltdown. So I was passing that around to anybody who was interested in having a little air moving past them. But no, it was a great night. We knit, we chat. I gave away some sock patterns and some sock yarn. I was the sponsor for last night's evening, and it was a lot of fun. I'll put I might have some pictures or a little video at the end as part of my end of. We had a flying trip down to Halifax. I think I got some footage of some of the drive, some of the foliage and the moody, foggy skies that morning. We drove down to Halifax to pick something up. My girlfriend was moving and had some outdoor furniture that she was looking to get rid of. And I have my daughter who is looking to furnish a new deck and patio space. So we transported that for her. And that's pretty much it. We've been staying pretty close to home. work, it makes me tired. I have to come home and just kind of collapse in a heap, and trying to be gentle with ourselves and give ourselves the time to make sure we're over this. As I said, it kind of keeps coming around. I get a little bit nasally and a little bit as I talk. So it's probably time to wrap up, and maybe I might be under an hour today. They've been a little long lately. What else? I think that's it. As I said, everything will be linked below. Your comments I enjoy them so much. There was a lot of hilarity over my cross-stitching head mask with the big magnifiers on. A lot of spitting out tea and wine as I had cracked that little joke, and I apologize if I made a mess. Thanks for tuning in. If you've enjoyed the rambling and the knitting, please like and subscribe. Leave me a comment if you have anything to let me know, or any hints on the unspun or how to spin a bat, or I'd love to hear how you knit your socks, what you like about knitting socks the way you do. Open to lots of conversations. I answer every single comment, and I totally enjoy doing it. Thanks for hanging out with me. I will see you in 3 weeks or so. Happy knitting, everybody. Cheers. Empty glass.
Don't lose it, don't let confuse it. Only then you begun. Feel like that. Feel like, feel like that. Feel like that. Your arms around me and stay with me. Feel like that. Your arms and stay with me, baby. Feel like that. Your arms around me and stay with me. Feel like that. Your arms and stay with me, baby. Drawing aside, I can't wait to start. You should call the police. Now I even can breathe. You love me and hate me, true me and false me, make me your shining star. Giving, receiving, changing, believing, only then we could start.